The screen and the snack have more in common than we tend to or want to admit. On the surface, they seem like separate conversations. One belongs to the world of technology and mental health, while the other belongs to nutrition and physical wellness. We discuss them in different contexts with different experts using different languages, but underneath both is the same mechanism, the same pathway in the brain that's being exploited in the same way for the same purpose with the same result. Understanding that connection does not just deepen what we know about either one, it changes how we understand what is happening to human beings in the modern world as a whole. Before diving into what's going wrong, it helps to understand what was designed to go right. Jehovah, or God, built a reward system into the human brain that was meant to orient us toward things that sustain life. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter at the center of the system, is not primarily about pleasure. It is about anticipation, motivation, and the drive to pursue what is genuinely good. It surges when we are moving towards something meaningful, like food that nourishes, connection that deepens, work that produces something real, and rest that restores. The system was designed for a world of natural rewards at natural intensities. The sweetness of fruit, the satisfaction of a meal after genuine hunger, the pleasure of genuine rest, the warmth of physical presence with someone you love, the deep reward of completing difficult and meaningful work. These experiences activate the dopamine system in ways that are proportional, that satisfy, and that support the formation of healthy patterns over time. The problem is not the system. The system is elegant. The system is purposeful. The problem is what happens when that system encounters inputs it was never designed to process. Inputs that were engineered to trigger it at intensities that have no natural equivalent, at frequencies that allow no recovery, towards ends that serve the producer rather than the person. The food industry discovered decades ago what neuroscience has since confirmed: the human brain can be hacked or hijacked through the strategic combination of salt, fat, and sugar in ratios that do not exist in nature. A ripe piece of fruit contains sugar, but in amounts and combinations bounded by the natural structure of food. A handful of nuts contain fat, but paired with fiber, protein, and texture that together produce satiation. These natural foods satisfy because they were designed to satisfy, because they supply what the body needs. The brain registers completion and appetite settles, and you will not find sugar and fat in the same high concentrations in the same food in nature. Ultra-processed food, however, was engineered to circumvent that completion signal. It's called the bliss point, a term the industry itself uses. It refers to the precise calibration of salt, fat, and sugar that maximizes palatability while defeating satiation. Foods designed around the bliss point do not satisfy the hunger. They amplify craving. The brain receives a dopamine surge far in excess of what any natural food produces, but because the signal is not attached to genuine nourishment, the completion response never arrives. The brain reads intensity without resolution. It keeps seeking. The reward is a pattern most people recognize from the inside: eating past fullness without feeling full, reaching for another handful before the last one has landed, the particular emptiness of having consumed a significant amount of food and feeling somehow less settled than before. This is not weakness or a lack of discipline. This is a brain responding exactly as it was designed to respond to a signal it was never designed to receive. Over time, the threshold shifts. Natural foods become less rewarding by comparison. The sensitivity of the dopamine system decreases, requiring greater intensity to produce the same response. What once felt satisfying no longer does. The hijack is no longer a single event. It has become the new baseline. The architects of digital platforms understood something the food industry understood before them. Variable reward is more addictive than predictable reward. A slot machine does not pay out on every pull. It pays out unpredictably, and that unpredictability is precisely what makes it compelling. The brain cannot habituate to a reward it cannot predict. it keeps pulling. Digital platforms are engineered on the same principle. The scroll that might produce something interesting, the notification that might be meaningful, the post that might get a response, the algorithm that shows you something remarkable just often enough to keep you seeking. Each of these micro rewards produces a small dopamine release. None of them is large individually, but their frequency, their variability, and their engineered novelty together produce a pattern of stimulation that keeps the reward system in a state of perpetual low-grade activation. The brain is always just about to find what it's looking for. It never quite does, and so it keeps seeking. The parallel to ultra-processed food is precise. Both exploit the gap between intensity and satisfaction. Both produce a dopamine response without the completion signal that would allow the brain to settle. Both recalibrate the threshold over time, making natural rewards, the slower, deeper satisfaction of real relationships, meaningful work, genuine rest, whole food, seem insignificant by comparison, and both operate through systems engineered by entities whose financial interest lies in perpetuating the seeking rather than resolving it. This is not an accident. It is the business model. The downstream effects of chronic dopamine exploitation, whether through food or digital stimulation or drugs, are more similar than most people realize. In the body, chronic consumption of ultra-processed food produces inflammation, dysregulated hunger signals, metabolic disruption, and the erosion of the body's ability to accurately register what it needs. The feedback loops that were designed to govern appetite and satiation become unreliable. The body that once knew when it was hungry and when it was full gradually loses that clarity. It needs more input to register anything, and even that input no longer resolves into genuine satisfaction. In the mind, chronic digital overstimulation produces something structurally parallel. Attention that fragments, the inability to sustain engagement with anything that does not deliver immediate reward, a nervous system that cannot settle into rest or depth, and the erosion of the capacity to tolerate ordinary experience. The person who reaches for their phone in every quiet moment is not making a conscious choice. They're responding to a nervous system that has been recalibrated to find stillness intolerable. Not because stillness is bad, but because the threshold for stimulation has been raised past what ordinary life can meet. In the soul, both produce a particular kind of emptiness that is difficult to diagnose because it coexists with constant activity. You can eat frequently and feel undernourished. You can engage constantly and feel unknown. You can consume endlessly and feel underneath it all like something essential is missing. That is the signature of hijacked reward. Intensity without nourishment, stimulation without formation, and activity without arrival. In the Universe 25 experiment, Calhoun's mice had unlimited access to food. Every physical need was perpetually met without effort, without hunger, and without the natural rhythm of seeking and finding and being satisfied. And one of the behavioral changes that emerged in the deteriorating colony was a disruption in normal eating behavior. Mice eating compulsively without the natural regulation that governs appetite in an environment that requires genuine effort. Abundance without effort at sufficient intensity and duration disrupts the feedback systems that were designed to govern behavior. This is true for food. It is true for digital stimulation. It is true for any system that provides reward without the natural conditions that give reward its meaning. Jehovah designed the human body and mind for a world that requires something of us. Hunger is not a malfunction. It is what makes satisfaction possible. Effort is not a burden. It is what makes a reward meaningful. Silence is not emptiness. It is what makes the voice of Jehovah audible. When the environment is engineered to remove all of those friction points and deliver reward continuously and effortlessly, the systems designed to be governed by them begin to break down. The result in both food and digital life is the same. A creature consuming more and more, but nourished less and less, and increasingly unable to find its way back to the conditions that would allow it to be well. The good news is that the brain retains the capacity for recalibration. The reward system that was hijacked can be restored, not instantly and not without the discomfort of a threshold readjusting, but genuinely. For food, this means returning to whole, real, minimally processed foods. The kind of foods that satisfy because they were designed to satisfy, that nourish because they contain what the body actually needs, and that allow the natural hunger and satiation signals to reemerge as reliable guides. The Daniel fast is one of the most powerful resets I know for this work, not because it is about restriction, but because it returns the body to a baseline of real food, real nourishment, and the slow resensitization of a system that has been overwhelmed. For digital life, recalibration means intentional reduction of the variable reward cycle, putting the phone down before the next pull, building in the experience of ordinary silence, choosing the slower and deeper engagement with real life over the frictionless consumption of digital life. Sabbath rhythm does this structurally. 1 day in 7 of genuine rest from the stimulation economy is not a spiritual nicety. It is a neurological reset. It is the practice of reminding the brain and the soul what it was actually designed to receive. Neither reset is comfortable in the beginning. When a threshold has been raised, the first experience of ordinary life without artificial stimulation feels flat, even boring. That flatness is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that recalibration is beginning. Stay in it. The sensitivity does return. The natural rewards that the hijack had rendered invisible begin to come back into focus. The food tastes like something again. The silence holds something again. The ordinary moments of real life become once more enough. This is why the Healthy Heart Framework refuses to separate the physical from the mental from the spiritual. Not because the distinctions are false, but because in lived human experience, they are not separate systems. They are one person, operating on one brain, in one body, before one creator who designed all of it to function as a whole. What you eat shapes your brain chemistry, what shapes your emotional baseline, which shapes your spiritual availability, which shapes your capacity for relationship and purpose and formation. What you consume digitally shapes your attention, which shapes your capacity for depth, which shapes your ability to heal, to be present, to participate in your own life rather than watch it pass. The hijacks are real. They're engineered deliberately, and the path back runs through the same design principles in both directions. Return to what is real, what is whole, what requires something of you, and what satisfies in the way that Jehovah designed satisfaction to work, deeply, genuinely, and for longer than the next scroll. The Daniel fast and Creation Needs the Sabbath are both linked below. Please check them out if this has any way spoke to your connected pieces that you felt separate, that if you've been working on your food choices and your screen habits and are beginning to see them as the same conversation. Those resources are so invaluable. Until the next time, remember to stay healthy and heart.